Check 1, 2. Hello, hello. If you can hear me, let me know. If not, I'll check in chat. If you're watching the stream in post, feel free to skip ahead. If this is a replay you're watching and not the live stream, there's a timer on the screen that you can just ignore. Go ahead 4 minutes and get started on the video when it starts. This is just for me to settle in as I make sure everything is sorted out. Hello, hello. Look in the chat. Welcome back, Thumper. Welcome back, Wiseman303. It's nice to see you two again. We got a doozy of a game today, so I'm excited. Excited to handle this. I'm just going to make sure in the background all the things are properly working. Cool, that's there. This looks good, I think. Cool, looking good. I think I'm ready for the stream, which is exciting. I still got 3 more minutes, so we're gonna let people filter in here. The sound is sounding. Thank you, Thumper. Okay. Oh, let me post. For people who follow me on Blue Sky, that's where I post now. For people who follow me on Twitter, don't. I no longer post there. That is no longer a place. I am active. I go there to check my bookmarks from the past 5 years, but otherwise, it is a place that has died. So, feel free to check me out on Blue Sky. That's where I'm posting. That's where most of the tabletop RPG people are currently. Maybe this VOD in retrospect will be very outdated and Blue Sky will be dead in the ground in a year or two's time. But right now, it's kind of the place to be if you want to follow up on any tabletop RPGs. So, second. Hello, Zenta. Nice to see you here. Welcome to the stream. We're chilling out for another minute and 29 seconds before we jump into this. And we do our little introductions and things like that. So. I think I'm good. Yeah, it all looks good on my side. How strange and unusually prepared. With the minute I have left, I will simply say that my room is... Santa says, I spend 150 because of you. That Wild Sea is good stuff. It is. It's a lot of good stuff. It is truly an incredible game. We covered it last week for people who missed it. It's in the VODs for people who want to check it out. Very fun. Oh my gosh. What a nice read. What a beautiful book. I'm also so excited this year in 2025. so again, I can retroactively say this is what I think walking into 2025 of doing short form content. On these games that I've covered. I've covered 60 of them so far, and I feel like I'm at the point where I want to start publishing videos about them, and I'm going to start with very short videos just so I can get comfortable and get my feet wet. I feel like the short form space in terms of tabletop RPGs is very underdeveloped. It's mostly comedy things and things pertaining to D&D, but the greater sphere of games is not yet fully unlocked, and it'll be a fun little project for the year. But anyway, let me just make sure. Great. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the people, old and new, young and old, Young and wild and free, welcome back to the 99 More tabletop RPG live stream, where every week we cover a different tabletop RPG for the first time. We are on game 62 of 99. That number is large enough to sound impressive officially, as we are aiming to complete the 99 More series by the end of 2025, which should be a fun challenge. 39 out of 52 weeks of the year, I want to be here on a Tuesday night, making sure that we're covering new and exciting, not necessarily new, but new to me, and exciting tabletop RPGs outside the general public knowledge. But this game, I would almost argue, needs no introduction. It certainly made a splash since its original release, I believe back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Yes, February of 2021 is the original publication date, but since then, it has been highly lauded by many people in the space as a fantastic game and a work of art. I'm talking, of course, of the game. I'm gonna click a cool button to time the ball. Of course, the game Slugblaster, Kickflip over a quantum centipede. Now, this game, I want to say, oh, welcome, Kid Charmander. Nice to see you here. This game, Slugblaster, I first got to see, and we're actually going to just jump to the next screen for now before coming back to the fireplace, because I want to show you a little bit. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah. So I'm here. This is where you can find it on itch.io. But the first time I was introduced to this game was watching, is it this video? It sure is. This video by Goblin Mixtape, also known as Sam Lee. They are a fantastic creator who make short form content on tabletop RPGs. They do a lot of coverage specifically on TikTok, and most of the videos have been ported over to YouTube. This is where I first heard about Slugblaster, which I'm just gonna. There's no sound. Oh, whoops. Nope. No free advertising. No free ads. This is the first time I heard about this game. The fact that it comes in a pizza box, which is the first indicator of flavor. That's the physical version, which is incredible. After this video, I got to watch Quinn's Quest cover of Slugblaster. Anyone who doesn't know about Quinn's Quest, they do fantastic long form videos. This one's 47 minutes long. Oh my gosh. Talking about other tabletop RPGs, truly the best coverage out there of a singular game that you can find in the year 2025. I would absolutely recommend this channel. So I saw it on Sam Lee's content, I saw it on Quinn's Quest, and of course news eventually came around in 2023. They were the winner of an Indie Groundbreaker Award, a Game of the Year as in the IGDN Awards, which is fantastic. So I've been trying to get a chance to read this game for a very long time. We can bounce over back to the fireplace now. I've been trying to read this game for a very long time. I actually finally got myself a PDF copy in mid 2023, and I was just trying to reach out to somebody to see if I can get permission to cover this game. And eventually I got to meet the guys at MythWorks. MythWorks, the current publishers, I believe, of Slugblaster. I got to meet them at PAX Unplugged and had a good long conversation with a couple members of the team. And they had this game, the Game of the Year edition, in the pizza boxes, front and center. And I said, hey, I would love to cover this game. They gave me the green light, and here we are in January 2025, finally reading this game. I've been sitting on it for quite a while. I think besides Lancer, which we already covered at game 50 or 50 something, this is the game that I've waited the longest to cover, just because I knew eventually one day I would be reading this, and we finally reached a time when we can really enjoy what the heck this game is about. I like the vibe, I like the color, I like what everybody has said about it. I've watched more than one video about it, but I have not read it, and that's what's happening today. So we're gonna open this stream, figuring out where we can find this game, where we can find this game, of course. The quick synopsis on it, whatever is available on the online website, what resources are available, and probably just the most interesting parts of this book. We're obviously not going to go through all of it, but we'll try to get through as much as we can within the window of time that we have. So without further ado, This is Slugblaster, Kickflip over a quantum centipede. There's a bundle that you can get here, the Slugblaster bundle for teen mental health. This is what I bought to get the game, which includes Slugblaster, of course, and a bunch of supplemental resources of things that people have made for the Slugblaster game. So this is what I'd recommend if you wanted to get it digitally. The physical version, I believe you can order from the website slugblaster.com, and you're going to see all the things it was nominated for and won in its tenure. Let's see, buy it. If we go to buy it, you'll be brought to MythWorks. MythWorks are the people I got to talk to over at PAX Unplugged, and this is where you can find it. I saw a couple physical versions. I don't know how available it is. Here, there's a US pre-order for when it restocks that you can buy over here. Slugblaster is ultra cool. On the itch.io page where I bought it, there are a couple things available to you, which include, of course, the PDF. Let me see if I can find it. Go to here. It's here. Yeah, download. So you can obviously get the digital version, and of course, there's a bunch of character sheets that are helpful, including like the character sheet, the crew sheet, and a couple other things that are helpful as supplementary content. On the website of slugblaster.com, let me see if I can get there. Yeah, here. Slugblaster.com dash hashtag slug stuff. You can find the printable play sheets, the online character keeper if you'd like to keep everything in like a Google Sheets for party access. There's a bunch of location maps that they have available via Dropbox. They have a one shot if you want to run it with your friends. There's a couple of actual plays online already of people who have played it. There's a soundtrack that you could buy or listen to. And there's a whole bunch of other things that are very useful. So if you're looking to get into this game, it's pretty easy to jump into and pretty accessible, I would say. So with that said, we're finally going to start reading. We're going to look at the table of contents and see what really sticks out to us first and foremost and go from there. This should show it. There it is. Fantastic. So Slugblaster is, from what I can tell in this top bar over here, just above what you guys can see, this game is 176 pages. That is a lot in this game. This is the full team, writing and layout, mostly credited to Mikey Ham. But there are a couple familiar names you can see in the team over here. We've covered a game by Grant Howitt. I believe we covered Goat Crashers, I think, by Grant Howitt. Obviously not their most famous game, but one of their one-page games. We recognize John Harper, which is who wrote Blades in the Dark. I believe this game is tangentially Forged in the Dark, so it does build on the system of Blades in the Dark. We recognize Galen from just a bunch of games we've covered. I think 2 or 3 of them have Galen in their credits as somebody who's helped them with layout and design, which is fantastic. Yeah, awesome, cool, nice. Oh, Rowan, Rook, and Descartes, we covered their Heart quick start, I believe. They've written Heart and Spire and a couple of other things that are not coming to mind right now, but there's a lot of people here who we might recognize in games past and future. It's a surprise how often this crosses over with other games. Anyway, contents. This is Slugblaster. So the first 32 pages are just an intro of how to play. Pages 38 to 76 is character creation. I can see there's a couple of different character sheets you can pick from. I imagine we can liken these to like little playbooks that introduce your character tropes and how to run them. This is world lore, I'm assuming, 78 to 141, so 70 pages of how to design your world, choose what it looks like, or build on the lore pre-existing. And then running the game, 142 to 174 is the GM section. This tells you how to run the game for your friends. So we're gonna read, probably mostly stay in here, take a couple glances at a couple of, I don't know what these are called yet, but I'm gonna say playbook for now. And then we're going to look at a little bit of the lore and see where that goes. And that should be the full stream. Also, if I take breaks and don't talk for a bit, it's because I'm drinking water. I'm still a little bit sick from the holidays. Okay, let's jump into it and just read whatever we come across as we move forward. What is Slugblaster? It's puberty and laser beams, bug guts and punk music. It's skateboards and texting and fights with your parents. It's alien world with your dumbest friends. It's being in your bedroom completely alone. It's yesterday's colors, today's feelings, tomorrow's daydreams, and slang from 5 decades. Fantastic. This is the art, just an example of the art that we're going to see in this book. This is Slugblaster, what the game is and how to play it. Okay, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by wheat and canola, is the small town of Hillview. It doesn't have a mall. It doesn't have a movie theater. It doesn't have a turbo taco or a music venue or a liquor store your aunt doesn't work at. What it has is a gas station, curling rink, 14 churches, a privately funded particle energy physics lab that employs half the town, and some of the thinnest space-time fabric on the planet. Thin enough for a growing underground culture of bored teenagers to slip into the vibrant planescape of exotic worlds just beyond. They call it slug blasting. It's dangerous. It's stupid. It got parent groups in a panic. And it's the coolest thing ever. So, solder up your ray gun, print some Hasware in your dad's garage, grab your hoverboard and watch out for meta-terrestrials as you try to make a name for yourself in the highly competitive punk rock world of interdimensional action sports. This is Slugblaster. A tabletop role-playing game about teenagehood. Why did I say that weird? Teenagehood, giant bugs, circuit-bent ray guns, hoverboard tricks, and trying to be cool. What a strong first page. That's wild. Good energy. So, boring town called Hillview, but fortunately has thin space-time fabric, if I'm reading that correctly. Enough for bored teenagers to slip into a vibrant planescape of exotic worlds just beyond. And doing so is called slug blasting, and you participating makes you a slug blaster. Triple person. This game is called Slugblaster. This is Slugblaster. Here, this is exactly what the game is, just for you. And this is a very fun little intro we had to introduce ourselves to the game. Tabletop role-playing game about teenagehood, giant bugs, circuit-bent ray guns, hoverboard tricks, and trying to be cool. All right, who are you? A sassy rich kid paired with a pair of modified time-skipping Scram Cat sneakers. Oh my gosh, this whole book is gonna be tongue twisters. Give me a second. Okay. I had to clear my throat. A curious nerd with a custom 3D printed gravity beam, a chill loser with a lovable robot sidekick, an ultra-dimensional princess with a hoverboard made from pure light. In Slugblaster, you and your friends mix and match personalities, signature devices, and other details to each create your own teenage character. Then form a crew with its own hangout spot, personal brand, and web of unique interpersonal dynamics. You and Sarah are cousins. Sarah and Kiara met in preschool. Kiara's the only one who knows Kevin's biggest secret, and Kevin and you will never forget the hilarious and traumatizing time those bullies trapped you both inside the school dumpster with an angry magpie. What do? Blow off school and sass the abandoned water park in Empyrean, get the Miper sponsorship by speedrunning Prismatia, salvage power crystals from moss-covered decommissioned gigamechs in the golden jungle, go viral by venturing into Quahalia without a logic binder, sneak into the hottest party in Operablum. Just make sure you get home before the demiplane melts, or the bloodwhip swarm sucks your marrow out, or rescue scoops you up and hauls you back to the decontamination facility, or that android mercenary gets revenge for that thing Curtis drew on its head with a paint marker. Or, before your mom finds out and sends you away to some kind of camp for troubled youths. The energy in these first 2 pages. All right. The rule system for Slugblaster is based on Blades in the Dark, a game by John Harper. John's rules are great for player-driven sandbox campaigns, free-form cinematic action scenes, stories about crews in over their heads, and improvised gameplay with lots of collaboration. And like a good Slugblaster would, I've made some mods. I've stripped things out, bolted stuff on, and tuned everything to support stories about adventure-seeking teenagers, as well as Looking cool and doing tricks, popping your gum in slow-mo while you do a 1080 over jets of slime, gear hacking, component collecting, and special items with physics insulting powers, full of color and creative possibility. Fame and popularity, get fans, earn sponsorships, wear a t-shirt with your face on it. More teamwork, but also more drama. Really fun chases, touching narrative downtime arcs where you buy scene prompts with points you earn during your adventures. Ooh, interesting. This is something I want to check out. How they handle downtime, where you buy scene prompts with points. Dramatic push your luck third act disasters, satisfying campaign epilogues. Oh, look at this. Players familiar with Blades in the Dark and or Dungeons and Dragons can check page 175 for a quick guide to adjusting the Slugblaster. And if you've never played, read through the demo on page 32, or even better, check out the Quantum Kickflip podcast to listen to a bunch of cool, funny people play the entire Slugblaster campaign. How sick! 175. Page 175? We're on page 7 right now. 175 is like the end of the book. Let me see if I can get there. D&D players. Oh, that's some of us, I'm sure. D&D players. This is less crunchy and more like making a movie together. What's fun, cool, and makes sense in the fictional situation determines what happens more than mechanics. Don't overthink it. Don't look for the grapple rules. Hey, nothing wrong with the grapple rules. If this was a movie, what would happen here? No skill list, movement rates, or to hit bonus. Any kind of action you can think of is done with an action roll. 1d6 plus 1d6 for each boost you use. Roll all the dice and use the highest roll to see how you did. An action roll's impact is like its damage, and progress tracks like a monster's hit point bar, except there may be tracks for all sorts of obstacles, not just combat ones. No formal initiative or rounds, just take turns. Foes don't roll, they act when it makes sense, or when a PC rolls a problem, and automatically hit, unless the PC nopes the attack. Good to know. Alright, jumping back. Where are we? Okay. Where does it take place? Any, when, and now when. Slugblaster draws inspiration from many eras. From the 70s, from the early 90s, from the early aughts, from the late aughts. Oh, this is written by the author. Okay. From right now, as I near middle age with kids of my own and teenagers once again seem so much cooler than me, serving bus baggy fit looks and bending politics to their will. And of course, from an array of futures, distant and near, optimistic and cautionary, possible and completely absurd. You should do the same. Draw on the eras that inspire your table. If you were a teen in the 80s, plug 8 tracks into your rayguns. If you were teens in 2010, bring back Vine and Shutter Shades. Do what makes you feel like a kid, even if you still are one. And these are all the possible inspirations. Lots of really cool things. Things I recognize here. Big Hero 6, Iron Giant, Stranger Things, Spider-Verse movies, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Futurama, Adventure Time, Goofy movie, absolutely. Ben 10, Cyber Chase, wow, Cyber Chase, Power Rangers, TMNT, Fooly Cooly, Paprika, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Jet Set Radio, Back to the Future, Men in Black, great. All those things are inspirations. Slugblaster. Oh, this is cool. These are the arts. Awesome. Get a crush, ask someone out, fall in love, have your heart broken, write a series of rap verses about how you feel. See new dimensions, bend your mind, explore strange realities, seek answers, find questions. Travel the multiverse, smell new smells, meet interesting people, watch your best friend serenade you with emo raps over a very hard to watch live stream. Shake the scene, crash parties, get famous, spray paint your name on an interdimensional train. But what is slugblasting? Slugblasting is first and foremost an action sport. Oh, sick. The meta-dimensional mutant love child of skateboarding, motocross, free running, urban adventuring, and anything else where you go fast and get hurt a lot. Just as surfers learn to read the swell of a wave, as skateboarders learn to see the potential in every concrete ledge, slugblasters, aka sluggers, learn to read the ripples of the space-time field and see the potential in the entire multiversal landscape. An art form, Slugblasters are the kind of kids who build nuclear reactors in their garage. They circuit bend ray guns they ordered off the dark web, they hook hoverboards up to guitar pedals, they love the smell of solder, the feel of things clicking together like Lego blocks. They are thrift hounds, scouring the web for unique parts and lovingly building their collections piece by piece. They are always changing things, always recalibrating, pushing the boundaries, and making new discoveries. It's an identity. Identity is important to teenagers. When they become a Slugblaster, they are at once part of something and distinctly individual. What you wear, how you ride, how you drink, and the kind of power cell you use, it all matters. Hello, Michael Elliott. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for watching. Sorry, I'm just responding to a WhatsApp message. Okay. That's it. Oh my gosh, I've been knocked out of my teenage groove because of a work WhatsApp. Let me see if I can jump back into it. One weird thing about teenagers is that they care what others think of them. An alien as that concept might seem to adults. As alien as that concept might seem to adults, pure approval has been shown to be the driving factor for dangerous teen behavior through the decades. Social media just amplifies it. Slugblasters are always live, streaming action cam footage of their runs to audiences across the multiverse, going to greater and greater lengths to increase their following and get noticed by sponsors. Like skateboarding or graffitiing, slug blasting is considered by some to be very political in its very nature. As long as there are groups trying to stop slug blasting, control slug blasting, or profit off slug blasting, the very act of slug blasting becomes a form of resistance, an act of rebellion against the powers that be, the conventions of mainstream culture, and the cozy, inertia-stricken suburbians complicit in the injustices of the multiverse. As long as sluggers are being hauled away to decontamination facilities, as long as sponsors' parent corporations are overmining Cramshawn in Prismatia, and stealing patents from 14-year-old contest winners, and as long as the scene is filled with gatekeeping D-bags who call you posers, it will be young people getting on their boards in defiance. Alright, this is the energy. Love it. A moral panic, a thrill, big business, a feeling. Let's read this one. Slugblasters have an even harder time. How do you describe the way a hoverboard carves the space-time slush? How do you describe the new color you saw in Quahalia? Or the way the meadows of Empyrean smelled during the planar eclipse? How do you describe the feeling of being somewhere no one else has and doing something no one else has done? Okay, how to play. Let's get into it. Okay. How to play. 2 to 4 friends. You need this book, some pencils, basic 6-sided dice, and a few sheet you can print off slugblaster.com. Fantastic. We know where to find those. One of you will be the GM. You set up the game, you make others player character, you help out the others make player characters and form a crew, and you're ready for the first episode. And each episode has 2 phases, the run and downtime. One episode takes about 2 to 4 hours, and a full season can contain about 5 to 10 episodes. Awesome. Runs are the action part. Laser fights and hoverboard chases and wild parties. Every run has a goal, plus some obstacles the GM puts in your way. To overcome obstacles, you make action rolls. And the results will determine whether you succeed or fail, and also if problems arise. You collect trouble points as you try to survive, and style points when you do tricks and other cool things. Okay, so far I'm seeing GM with 2 to 4 people, game based on 6-sided dice. There are character sheets that you make player characters and form a crew as the name of your group. Every 2 to 4 hours is a session, which they call a run and downtime. Well, they call it an episode that has 2 phases called the run and downtime. Everything that is decided in a run, or at least the more difficult obstacles, you overcome with action rolls, which can cause problems give you trouble points, and you can collect style points when you do cool things. I think that makes sense. So after the run, you have these trouble points, you have these style points, and you spend them on beats. Beats are events and moments that fuel the story, prompt free-form role-playing scenes, and grow your characters, earning you Doom and Legacy. I don't know what either of those are. We have a couple of big words to look up. And get your crew closer to its ultimate goal, becoming legendary Slugblasters. At the end of the entire season, use the epilogue rules to wrap everything up, and find out how the legacy and doom you collected impact your character's future. So yeah, this is the game flow. The two phases of an episode are the run and then downtime, which is neat. Okay, cool. Yeah, that all makes sense to me. These are tips for players. I won't go into this too heavily. You can just take a glance at it. So show some grit and be ambitious and take it on the chin. Get used to failing, get used to D6 to determine your success, or your multiple D6s to roll success. You would take the highest result and treat that as whether you succeed or fail, 6 being perfect success, 4 and 5 being partial success, and 1 to 3 being a failure. So 5 and 6 chance of something going wrong, 3 and 6 of something going right, and both are possibilities. Okay, I'm gonna wait for my internet just a little bit before we continue. Let me just see if this fixes itself. I'm gonna double check. I think we're good. Maybe? Almost? I'll just type something in chat. Okay, I think it's a little bit better now. Watching my internet like a hawk, making sure it looks better. Maybe, possibly. Okay, well, I am recording this, so hopefully if something does go wrong or something does cut out, we can just pick up where we left off. Okay, let's keep going. This, again, as we bounce back to reading, there are a couple of things. Did you know you sound like an airplane pilot? Says Thumper. My friend, I don't know for sure. I think I practice my cadence for YouTube videos, so if an airplane pilot sounds like a YouTuber, that's what I am. I also do podcasts like every millennial does, so I have a voice. Okay, so takeaways from this page. I'm gonna try not to read every line, but the goal is to take chances, be ambitious, roll with the failures because you will experience some sort of consequence 5 out of 6 times. Make a mess and show it off. Do something proud and exciting. Get creative, be curious, care about your character, love your crew. Always something to remember in any game. Oh my gosh. Make sure you make a character that 1, you enjoy, and 2, your team will enjoy. Make sure there's somebody in there that people will love hanging out with and interacting with and growing with. This says relax and be flexible and listen. And always remember to cheese it. What does that mean? The best sessions end in a chase. Embrace it. Scram at every opportunity. It's not failing, it's a tactic. You're in control. Lead that monster through a gauntlet. This is the game. If you're getting chased by mutating mall cops and not sure if you're going to make it to the portal before the lava wave hits you, you're playing Slugblaster. Oh, we're about to encounter. Yeah, just a little bit. I get every now and then the internet becomes rough, and I just gotta grin and bear it. There was one time I almost lost the entirety of the stream, and thankfully I was recording it, so we got to watch it straight through. What was that game? It was Fox Curio's Floating Bookshop, I think. We had to rebroadcast it because like half the stream was lost to my internet. So I've improved it since then. This is your brain on portals, is what this page says. A message from doorways. Okay, we're looking at examples of character sheets. I'm sure this will be explained in just a bit. Reality canon. I don't know what that means. All right, for people who love dice mechanics, this is what it is. We're here. We've made it. You make an action roll. Oh my gosh, they're gonna give more examples. There are almost too many examples in this game. You make an action roll anytime you try to melt an android with your mazer. What's a mazer? Magic laser? I don't know. Hoverboard away from a logic storm. Rummage through your knapsack for a spare battery. Sneak out of your room without your dad seeing you. Or do anything else where the outcome is uncertain and failure could be interesting. This is the key word right here. So things that you're just good at, just do it and it happens. That's the general rule, right? But if there's a possibility that one, you might not succeed, and two, failure, it might be like entertaining or interesting, that's when you act on it. That's when you do something. So that's when you do an action roll. Say what you're trying to do and then roll a 6-sided die, 1d6. If you get a 6, you succeed. If you get a 4 or 5, you succeed, but there's a problem. If you get a 1 to 3, you fail, and there's a problem. Describe your success. The GM describes the impact as well as any problems based on what makes sense in the situation. And this is a little visual. So, success. This guy. Partial success. Mixed success is what they call it. And 1, 2, and 3 is failure. How much do you accomplish? The impact of your action is determined by the GM based on pacing, tone, and common sense. The GM might set up a progress track. These are the famous clocks from Blades in the Dark. For tasks that are too complex, difficult, or interesting for one single action. With each success, you get closer to your goal based on how impactful your action was. So these are little pie charts. Every time you succeed, you fill in a little bit more, or if you mess up, you dial it a little bit back. And a full circle, a fully colored in circle, is a complete task. And these pies, these clocks, can be segmented into 4s, 6s, 8s, 10s, depending on how difficult the task is. How bad are the problems? In the same way, the GM also determines how bad any problems you roll are. Those problems are going to be worse if you try something extra dangerous, like doing a trick, or trying to go toe-to-toe with a monster you should be fleeing from. Doing stuff better. Okay, so these are modifiers. This is how we make the dice rolls a little bit more interesting. Boost and kick are points you spend for one-time bonuses to action rolls. Okay, cool. You can find them on your sheets. See Attitude and pages 42 to 50 from Turbo. Right. The crew sheet also has some, which are shared by everyone. You can only use Dare once per action roll, but there's no limit to how much unspent boost or kick you can use. Dole them out carefully throughout a run, or blow them all in one single epic action. Stack, mix and match, and go nuts. When you make an action roll with the multiple dice, you take the highest result, ignoring the rest. Boost and kick are spent before the action is rolled. Your spent points refresh at the start of your turn. So it sounds like these are like numerical boosts. I would hazard to say maybe a +1, +2 type style that you add to your roll before you roll it. So if it's like, hey, I have to, I need a success on this. Actually, let's just read it. Here we go. Boost. why am I guessing if I could just read it? Boost. Mark a boost for +1d6 to an action roll. That's huge. +1d6 to an action roll? Oh, okay. So the number doesn't add. It's not an additive thing. It's just a second d6. So you're rolling 2d6, take the highest result. That's what it says here. Fantastic. Kick. Mark a kick to increase the potential impact of an action roll. That kick remains spent even if the action fails. No risk, no reward, hot shot. So this goes to like clocks. If the GM says succeed on this and you get one slice of the clock filled out, you could spend a kick to get 2 slices filled out, is what I imagine this means. Dare. You can get 1d6 to an action roll, get +1 kick, or clear 1 trouble if you let the GM gain 1 bite. What is bite? Let the GM introduce an extra problem suggested by you, or mark 1 trouble. Great. I do love this in games. I'm going to highlight it and zoom in because this is something I'm seeing more often in games I'm reading. Not because it's new or novel, just because I'm encountering it for the first time. I think it's fun as a GM to look at a player and say, hey, I'll give you a benefit, but you tell me how it's gonna fail if you mess up. Like, I enjoy that. And it's like, I remember when I read Wassailing of Claw's Manor, it was like examples of bonus problems or consequences are like collateral damage, losing something important, giving up a secret, things like that, right? So like truly consequential things, how much are you willing to sacrifice for success? I love that nonsense. I love that. I love part of the fun in tabletop RPGs is the high risk, high reward, right? So if you give players something interesting enough, then they'll sacrifice more to make it happen, which is great. So this is an example of a boost adding a +1d6 to your roll. This is an example of what kick can do. So I assumed it was marking another of the progress track, which it says here. Or you can damage a monster with an otherwise ineffective attack, get more style points when landing a trick, get some side benefit, or do a couple things at the same time. Great. So kick is kind of the catch-all. Hey, I want an extra bonus that hasn't been decided yet. Let me ask for a specific bonus. Teamwork and sharing. Teamwork is simple, flexible, and encouraged. As long as you can describe and justify it, you are free to use boost, kick, or dares to help improve a teammate's action roll. Freely take or nope slams for each other. How do you step in? So this is like if you intercept something dangerous. Share or trade components with teammates. Donate style to the crew or specific teammate. Great. You can't share trouble. Okay, this is the big one. You can't share the trouble. That's yours to deal with. Fun. Right. Take slams. So what are problems? The airlock starts closing. You bail and break your collarbone. Ooh, you bail and break your collarbone. A metasaur starts chewing on your boyfriend's stupid head. Slugblasting is a great way to avoid the problems at home, but a terrible way to avoid problems in general. You're in for a world of hurt, a multiverse of hot neon tribulation. Isn't that exciting? When you roll a problem, the GM either introduces a snag or hits you with a slam. Snags are twists and turns that make a situation more dangerous or complicated. An alarm goes off, the building starts collapsing, your ex shows up to the party, a monster grows a second head, etc. You know what? As somebody who's not all that great at running games like this myself, if I could just have a list, like a D100 list of snags, I would absolutely love that. I think that'd be super useful for me. Slams are lingering problems that directly affect your body, mind, spirit, or gear. Things like bruised, exhausted, freaking out, humiliated, glitching device, etc. This is kind of like conditions, I suppose. If you get slammed, write it in one of your slam boxes on your sheet. If you're slammed and all the boxes are already full, disaster strikes. Slams clear at the end of the run during cleanup. Some situational slams may clear sooner if it makes sense. For example, if you took some time to wash off in the probably snake-infested river, you could clear that slimed slam you got while trying to hug a snail. Slams don't give penalties,
but the GM might adjust the impact of your actions where it makes sense. Noping. There are endless possible ways to die, especially when you think it's fun to sneak into other universes and rollerblade with monsters. But your story takes place in one of the few realities where you don't. In Slugblaster, you control when and if your characters get hurt. So, if a GM tells you that you break your leg or get cut in half by a Negaray, you can just say no. Oh, good. What an interesting mechanic. Let me read this one more time. In Slugblaster, you control when and if your character gets hurt, so you can nope it. If you don't want to take a slam, say nope and describe the too cool thing your character does to avoid it instead, and mark 2 trouble. For players with improv experience, noping can feel like blocking fun moments. The trick is to practice additive noping. What cool thing does your character do just in time? What do we learn about them for how they avoid slams? So I kind of like this mechanic. And it's interesting because what it does is not necessarily sacrifice consequence, right? For example, if your GM says something happens, in most other games, you just simply have to reckon with that as a consequence. But in here, you can say, actually, this happens instead. And what you say has to be cooler, basically, than what you avoided. There's still a penalty. There's still a marked penalty, and that's 2 trouble, and you got to deal with that on your own, as the previous page says, right? You can't share trouble. So there's still a consequence of avoiding a punishment. I think this is an interesting way for players to have the agency to avoid consequences that don't vibe with their story or don't vibe with the player. If you think that you won't be able to role play something correctly, like a consequence or a punishment, if you feel like something is 1, lame, or 2, just not something you think you would have fun with, I think this is a cool option to kind of step away from that situation. It feels like a small X card in that you're avoiding the experience of playing through something, obviously with the price of trouble, but taking the opportunity to use your agency and replace it with something that you personally find more interesting. I think it's a unique tool. I think I'm happy it exists. Obviously people are gonna have mixed feelings about strong no's and improv, but you know, it's a game. People have to have fun. Okay. So, while you and your friends were laser surfing through life, sucking on Red Bull popsicles, your homework was piling up, your dad was worried sick, and your luck was running out. In Slugblaster, you can never escape your troubles, but you can swap and defer them. You mark trouble points throughout the run as you take dares, nope slams, etc. If you mark your 8th trouble box, disaster strikes. Trouble can be cleared by spending it on beats during downtime. Okay, so there is an upper limit. There is an upper limit to trouble points, and that's 8 trouble points, and you can clear it during downtime. So there's a consequence to stacking up too high on those. Everyone's luck runs out eventually. Too many sketchy landings, too many close calls with close monsters, too much horseplay, and too little respect for the rules of physics and probability. The GM asks each player to make a disaster roll near the end of the run, often on the way home. Disaster may also automatically strike in special situations, like if you mark all your trouble or take too many slams. Roll 1d6 per empty trouble box on your sheet. Take the highest result. Roll 1d6 per empty trouble box. So you have 8 trouble boxes. So if you have like 5 empty trouble boxes, you roll 5d6 and you take the highest result. Okay, cool. So the more the less trouble you have, the easier it is to avoid disaster, is what I understand from this. Cool. So we could simulate that real quick. We haven't simulated any rolls yet. Let's do this. I'm gonna go to dice roller, as I do. So say I have, out of the 8 trouble boxes, I have 4 marked. I have 4 trouble. I got 2 trouble from simply things going wrong, and then 2 trouble from noping a slam. So I'm gonna get 46. 46 because there are 4 trouble boxes that are blank, and what I want is a high roll. So I'm gonna roll 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 4, 5, 3. So the highest result here is 5, and a 5 in the game would be close call. Avoid disaster, but it'll mark 1 trouble. Great. So I avoid disaster. My trouble goes up from 4 to 5, and I enter into downtime having to deal with the 5 trouble that I've accumulated. Cool. Doom represents the scars and debts of this insane hobby. The bridges you've burned, the lies you've told, the dimensional horrors you can't unsee, the hearing loss from that time with the matter collapser, the things that follow you into adulthood. Disaster and certain downtime beats can give you doom. Write it on your sheet, be descriptive. Doom can also be cleared with certain beats or by going on a run specifically for that purpose. Your doom helps determine your epilogue. And then fractures are certain downtime beats and challenges can cause the crew to take or clear fractures. Write them on the crew sheet in the fracture box. Oh, interesting. So this is specifically for the crew. These are like problems that the crew is experiencing. Be descriptive. If your crew takes a fracture when all fracture boxes are full, you break up. Ooh, everyone marks 1 doom, and 1 or more PCs must leave the crew. Wow, that's crazy. Reconciliation requires a significant sacrifice, such as 1 member clearing some legacy or marking doom. Wild stuff. So, lots of big terms here, lots of big words that we've learned in the last 5 pages. So let's do a quick recap. Action roll. What you do every time the result is uncertain. 6 is the best. 4 or 5 is partial or is mixed success or success with a problem, and 1 to 3 is failure. There are progress tracks. Progress tracks are what the GM uses to show how far along you are in succeeding on a goal. You can improve the progress track by good action rolls and doing things that would logically improve the progress track. To improve your rolls or improve your chances, you can do a boost, which gives you a plus 1d6 to your roll. And obviously, when you roll multiple dice, you take the highest result. You can kick for many different possible benefits. You just talk to your GM about what you want, what you're looking for, and you can use a kick to do that. Daring is a risk reward. You can get a bonus on your roll if you allow the GM to make your life more complicated. Slams are examples of problems. A slam is a type of problem. Snags are things that make the situation more complicated, and slams are lingering problems that remain upon you. You're allowed to nope a slam, and in doing so, you build up trouble, and you replace it with something cooler that you is a description of how you manage to avoid the slam. Trouble is something that builds up. You earn trouble points as you take dares, nope slams, etc. And there's an upper limit of 8 trouble before disaster strikes. And disaster is something you roll for at the end of the run and before downtime. The more trouble you have, the more likely you are to fail it. Doom is something that you as a personal scar on yourself, and it affects the end game of your character, it affects the epilogue. And fractures are problems within the team, interpersonal problems that you resolve through downtime, or you you can either resolve it through downtime, or you can take a significant loss to do so. And if you don't manage to solve the fractures before 4 of them builds up, then the team breaks apart. Is it 4 fracture? I don't actually know the upper limit of fracture, but we can look into it later. There's a bunch of other terms here. I don't think I'm going to dwell too long on this. There are other things that are important to your character, and this is probably character creation and story beats. Style, fame, and legacy seem like things that impact your character story or notoriety, your reputation in particular. These are things. Okay, tricks. Let's see this. Slugblasting. Slugblasting by nature is about doing unnecessary things that are unnecessarily risky. Just for the lulz, just for the likes, just to make your friends flip out, and just to see if you can. Although you can get style in a few ways, tricks are really the backbone to Slugblaster style economy. These rules are for big, risky, attention-grabbing tricks. You don't need to roll to practice a kickflip into safety of your driveway. You can spend kick to increase the amount of style you get from a successful trick. Each kick spent awards +1 style if the trick lands. Turn that board slide into a switchboard slide big spin out. Slugblaster tricks are usually combined with another action, but you use the same rules for doing isolated tricks too. Do a trick. Add a trick, a flourish, or some extra show to any action by saying check it before you roll. Oh my gosh, that is a throwback. Nobody does this anymore. Check it. Yeah, I used to. That was in my vocab all through high school, and beginning of college. Check it. Oh my gosh. Any problems world are worse, but if you succeed, you also mark one style. But no, there doesn't need to be an obvious. There doesn't need to be an audience. Even a single gobsmacked witness can start a myth, and sluggers are constantly live streaming, recording, and getting footy. Footy? People say that? Footy for footage? For their next edit. Besides, as mentioned, style is just as much about self-confidence as it is buzz. Anyone who survives a trip through a gravity worm's digestive system is going to walk a little taller after. And these are some examples of tricks. Cool. And this is downtime. I won't dwell on this too long, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. Beats are moments you can purchase with your trouble and style to fuel the story, advance your character, and prompt role-playing scenes. The cost listed with each beat is the amount of style or trouble you clear to buy it. You can always purchase trouble cost beats if you can afford them. Your funeral, friendo. The cost listed with each beat is the amount of style or trouble you clear to buy it. Huh. Interesting. I'm trying to figure out how do you spend trouble. How do you clear trouble and gain a beat? Huh. You can always. This is the sentence I'm lingering on. I'm trying to figure out. I'm sure they'll explain it later, but basically it's saying even if you don't have the currency for certain trouble cost beats, you can still spend trouble to do them. Maybe there's an increased difficulty if you handle it without having the full price. Trait and arc beats are one-time buys. Arc beats must be bought in descending order, and you can buy one per arc each downtime. These limits don't apply to any other beats. Buy 6 in the labs at once for all I care. Okay. Trait beats. Cartwheeling through unstable portals into Cuckoo Banana Land with your friends may not be the most efficient path to college admission, but it certainly teaches you a lot about who you are. Origin story, which costs 3 style. A flashback that shows a defining moment from your past, +1 trait. Sharpened, 4 style. A teammate inspires you or shows you something about yourself, +1 trait. Family arc. Trouble at home, it costs 2 trouble. Your family disapproves. How? Why? Why do you care? +1 slam and pick a teammate who notices. So basically it's saying you can clear 2 trouble, but instead you get 1 slam, which is 1 condition. Yeah. So yeah, so no one way or another your problems are truly building up, whether it be through slams, through trouble, or through doom. Yeah, these beats are kind of difficult situations that allow you to clear trouble at the cost of something else. Oh, great. And these are more examples of different things you can do. Cool. Challenges. Yeah, there's so many options. That's cool. This is a pretty fleshed out downtime thing. Runs are the action half of the motion half of an episode. So before you go into downtime, you have to complete a run, and there should have a goal, a prize, or someone's starting obstacle. Right, and I'm assuming this helps me fill that out. 6d6 options. Yeah, so 36 options here. Great. And epilogue. Okay, so this is kind of curious. This is what I wanted to know. So this is this has to do with like disaster and doom. Let's see here. First, decide how much time the epilogue covers. The GM has a final say. The year works well, but it could even follow your characters into adulthood. Then each player rolls 1d6 per 2 doom to determine their epilogue's low point, and 1d6 per 2 legacy to determine their epilogue's high point. Now, using those prompts to describe what happens to you in a montage. End on a high point. This is Slugblaster, not Sad Blaster. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so there's what happens to your character here and what happens to your crew here. Wow, this is ancient. What is this? Windows 98? And this is a demo, so this is a long example of what a game could look like, which is neat. 4 pages, 5-page scenario, if you want to check out an example of what this looks like. Again, there's also an actual play that you could check out where they play through Slugblaster if you want some more examples of what this game looks like in action. Panic energy, Wilkie's panic energy. Being teenage. Okay, so this is the making character section. Okay, we're at 9:34. We have a little over 20, just around 20 minutes left of the stream. So I'm gonna breeze through a couple of these and give you just a glimpse of what these characters could look like. It says here, pick your personality, which includes your look, your family, your bond, your vibe, your traits, your gear. There are tables, fantastic. There are roll tables for each of these. Okay, let's do this. I want a roll table. Okay, so we need 2d6, right? A 2d6, a 1d6, and a 2d6. Let's try it. What is this? 1, 2, 3. Great. 2d6, 2d6, 1d6. So, first 2d6 is 1, 1. Wow! We got both ones. That was not what I was expecting. So 1, 1 is minimal. Very cool. Let's try one more. Let's do one more. So on top of minimal, we have 4, 5. Sorry, this is the roll. And then this is the 4, 5, 4, 5. Minimal and jewelry. Okay. Fashionable. but not too overt. Let's see. For family, I'm gonna roll 2d6. Six, 3. So top is 6, down is 3. So 6 over here and 3. Big family. Fantastic. Okay, so I got minimal and jewelry, big family, and if I had somebody sitting next to me, this would be my bond. I'm gonna roll a d6 for that. A 3. Okay. One of my friends is a well-kept secret. People don't know we get along. Oh, interesting. Okay, and then there's pick your signature, name yourself, and then the grit. Oh, so this is a type of character. The grit is a type of character. This is an example of what the grit looks like, and they have a couple of traits here. One example of it is patient. When you reveal how you've been waiting to act, get plus 1d6 or plus 1 kick on your action. Cool. Sacrifice your body. Take a slam to get plus 2d6 on your action. The slam can't be noped or avoided in any way. You actually got to take it, kid. Great. And the style is super nice. Thumper says, what I don't get from this is how freeform the adventures are. Does the GM have a world, have a problem to solve, or do they just wing it? I'm guessing that's in the what a GM does section over here. Honestly, we could do a jump to that, but I do want to just show real quick. This is an example of one of the characters you could play, the grit. Obviously, you style them as you want. Examples are Rocky, Leslie Knope, Judy Hopps, 11 from Stranger Things. This is the guts, who looks awesome. And then here is the smarts, who's another person. So let's go over to, which all this art is so good. Let's jump over to how to set up. I think that's an interesting point. How do you make sure this game isn't like super random? Okay, so it says here, before playing, there's a session 0. Session 0 is when everybody prints their character sheets and people create characters and set the tone and content of your campaign. Obviously, session 0s are great ways for everybody to be on the same page about what to expect from a campaign, what to look forward to, and what is the vibe or the genre or the tone, what things to avoid, what things are lines and fails. Obviously, there are things to sort out as you do that. 2 start options is obviously you can start them in a run or start them in the downtime, whichever one you find more interesting. Okay, so here. This is Thumper, this is what you're looking for. What should I prep? Slugblaster was designed to be a flexible, player-driven open-world game. It empowers improv and also requires it. If you try to plan out the plot, either you or your players will get frustrated. Many GMs find they need to prep very little for Slugblaster, but some feel better when they do or even enjoy the prep itself. If that's you, problems are the bulk of your job, so make it easier for yourself and jot them down, using the tables on pages 156 to 160, or the lists in each monster and world entry to help you. 2. Prep some NPCs. Pull some from a relevant faction, or make someone new. Think about what they want, practice their voice, etc. List a few descriptive details for a couple locations you expect for them to visit, including interactive objects or terrain. Write a list of names, tech jargon, and other things you'll find hard to improvise. Read up on factions or monsters you may use, and bookmark pages you think you'll need to reference, like a world you know they want to go to next. Prep any music, maps, and images you want to use. Finding good location images can make action scenes more tangible. Practice a solid opening description. It hypes people up and starts your game off on solid footing. Write down a few questions you can ask the players to get them moving, and remind yourself what happened last game. You can help to ask the best note taker in the group to do a recap for everyone. So this is just general helping tools for people who want to prep sessions. Let's actually take a look at pages 156 to 160, just so you can get an idea for what kind of problems you can put in front of your party. Again, I must remind you that in chapter 3, there are a whole list of other worlds here. So we have here For example, oh my gosh, what a bright yellow. We have here Vestige, Thanisphere, Golden Jungle, Desnine, Prismatia, Operablum, oh, it's perfect. Wow, that's so convenient to have just there. Operablum, Calorium, Waking Pit, Popularity, Imperium. You know the gist. So there's many things, many worlds that you could travel to. There's a list of problems that you could look through in case you don't know how to interact with this world and find problems in this world. And a bunch of checkpoints in case you want to highlight the world in particular, which is wonderful. So every world has a different page and 7 to 10 problems as far as I can tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 problems to solve. And this is I guess this is the major premise or major problem or issue with the world that you might have to reconcile as an overarching thing. Yeah. And there are also factions and monsters. Here's the monster section that'll help you build monsters. I see here 1, 2, 3. This is the eponymous quantum centipede. Should you choose to tackle this, and there's a bunch of other creatures you can fight. There's also factions if you need help with NPCs, as far as you can tell, which are, like, for example, for the crowds, the Thrashers, the Heads, the Mavens, the Freaks, the Normies, and different crews that you might interact with, which is BRB, Check Collective, Null Range, Lazy Bunny, and the Wicks. There's a bunch of different things you can pick from here. I see there's a bunch of options in terms of like just pre-built world that you could tap into. If you're someone like me who kind of struggles with improvising modern settings, this seems like a book that really provides you with kind of different tables or different examples of what you could do. I can also remind you that on the website, if we go to the Chrome page, go over here to slugblaster.com, there is indeed a one-shot, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Slugblaster Turbo X over here is a full entirely free one-shot that you could run for your friends if you just want to give it a shot. And with that said, I think I'm going to call it. We've bounced all over this book. We've done a lot of different things. Oh, look, there's also a solo Slugblaster if you want to play alone. How interesting. But you can see on this little bar on the side that there is a lot of content to go through. There are a lot of different examples of characters you could be playing that we haven't even delved into much at all. For people who are familiar with Blades in the Dark, you might feel right at home in terms of the mechanical aspects of this game. Honestly, if you've played Powered by the Apocalypse, you'll probably get a good grasp of this too. This is so steeped in nostalgia and not psychedelic, I guess, but like radical, supernatural, almost arcane magical type genres that I find really entertaining. I think this honestly reminds me a little bit of Masks, one of my favorite games, which is about a bunch of teenage superheroes where they're reckoning with making a name for themselves while balancing their personal life. I think that's a really evocative concept that everyone can relate to just a little bit. I do find it interesting how there is a section, where is it? This one, when does it take place? I do love this because for me, nostalgia rests comfortably in the early aughts, which is the majority of my cognizant childhood, or late 90s, I suppose. And what I find nostalgic is like, I don't know, cassette tapes, Blockbuster, riding down hills on bikes, and shopping carts. Just things that are childish, nonsensical, and radical, you know? That's my nostalgia, but I feel like everybody has a different version of that. And I like how this kind of describes to tap into your own nostalgic history and really bring forth what you find evokes this sense of long lost happiness. I think that's a fantastic premise. Again, this is Slugblaster, Kickflip over a Quantum Centipede by Mikey Ham. And what is there? Wilkie's Candy Lab is the name of the publishing is the name of the game design team, and MythWorks is the current publishing group. So if you want to find this, obviously, again, you can go to itch.io to find a PDF version and a bundle full of games that are supplements that benefit that tie into Slugblaster, and also all earnings go to support teen mental health, which is fantastic. You can also go to slugblaster.com, or this is MythWorks, I think. Yeah, this is the MythWorks website if you want to pre-order a physical version. And if you want to, where is slugblaster.com? Slugblaster.com. If you want to just get the PDF or tap into a bunch of resources online, you could just go to the website slugblaster.com. If you want someone else to talk about this in a much more abbreviated setting, you can obviously check out Sam Lee's video on Slugblaster for a very quick 2.5-minute description, or you can check out Twin's Quest for a very thorough 47-minute breakdown of this game. And I think that's everything. Thank you again to the MythWorks team for giving me the opportunity to cover this game. For the rest of you, we are on game 62 of 99, which means we have 37 more games to go. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful night.